The team from Universe 10 in Dragon Ball was most likely the least explored team during the Tournament of Power arc, with only one member having the spotlight for a single episode. At least that was the case in the anime. This is a shame because I actually like the designs and teams of most fighters from Team 10. So for this video, I'll do my best to give fitting abilities and powers to the characters of Team 10, so without further ado, let's start. The first member of Universe 10 we are going to explore is Murichiim. In the anime, this monk warrior was the leader of Team 10, and it was somewhat implied that he was a very strong fighter. However, as we see in both the anime and manga, Murichiim did nothing worthwhile and was wasted as a potential strong fighter for the Tournament of Power. So for our revision, I want to redeem Murichiim and make him the strongest fighter and by extension the powerhouse of Team 10. Starting with his weakest stat, Murichiim has a score of 1 in utility, at least in his base form. Beyond basic techniques such as key reading and flying, Murichiim doesn't have any other notable non-offensive techniques. Next, Murichiim has only an average intellect score, because he doesn't rely on using any kind of tactics or planning during combat. Murichiim has a cooperation score of 1.5 as he much prefers fighting alone than with allies, unless there is no other option. On the contrary, Murichiim's skill is exceptionally good in martial arts and fighting in general. In combination with his extensive combat experience, Murichiim has a score of 3 in skill. Murichiim can use many types of powerful energy attacks and also have a high level of control over them, granting him a score of 3 in offense. Finally, Murichiim loves fighting and training to become stronger, never backing off from a fight against anyone. He is easily a fighting junkie just like Goku or Vegeta, granting him a score of 3 in motivation. Like most members of Team 10, Murichiim have access to the ultimate state, having a power level of 64 at full power with semi-divine ki. While using godly ki, his level is between 70 and 77 at full power, with an optimization score of 3, meaning he has full control over these states. Murichiim also has a super transformation called Budhi Hikari. In this form, Murichiim's body turns into a radiant golden state, unlocking a new set of powerful abilities and increasing his power level to 84. With this form, Murichiim is virtually immortal, being capable of recovering from any damage. But if for any reason Murichiim starts losing confidence in himself during a fight, his instant regeneration will stop working as effectively. Additionally, while using this transformation, Murichiim has an unlimited amount of energy and stamina, which is also linked to his confidence, granting him a score of +3 in optimization. Since this transformation demands so much effort from the body and mind, it has a time limit of a few minutes. However, Murichiim can potentially increase this limit with more training after the Tournament of Power. The time limit is even lower if Murichiim is fighting at his fullest with a power level of 87. Because of the instant regeneration, the utility score of Murichiim in his Budhi Hikari form increases to 2. Since willpower becomes essential for this transformation, Murichiim's motivation score increases to +3 as well. Next fighter of Universe 10 is Methiop, or Methiop. I don't know how to say his name, so yeah. To be honest, I actually always found this character very uninspired and boring, so because of that I ended up giving him a very different technique to make his fighting style more interesting. So because of his low power level and unique ability, Methiop is a support fighter for Team 10. For our revision, Methiop has the unique ability to merge with any solid object or even person. For example, he can merge with an ally and pop any part of his body, such as legs, arms, or even head, to attack the enemy from the body of his ally. This allows Methiop to turn any fight into a 2v1. Whenever Methiop is inside the body of an ally, he can also accelerate their healing factor and even tank any damage using his own body. Furthermore, Methiop can temporarily increase his own power when he is merged with a strong host, having a power level up to 61 with an optimization score of 2, since it can't be maintained for too long. Methiop is also capable of merging with the body of an enemy, but only if they are overall weaker than him or if he catches them off guard with a low power level. By merging with objects such as floor or walls, Methiop can surprise his target with sudden attacks or use them as a quick escape route. Additionally, his movement speed increases when moving through matter. Other abilities of Methiop include stretching and enlarging his body, accelerated regeneration, telepathy with the person he is merged with, and also have an undetectable key while merged with something. Overall, Methiop's utility score is 3. Considering that Methiop's fighting style revolves around supporting others, his cooperation score is of +3. Pairing his merging ability with his intellect, Methiop can be a true menace, providing effective support to his allies and also keeping them safe while dealing unexpected damage to enemies. As a result, Methiop has an intellect score of 3. Methiop has average combat skill and offensive scores of 1.5, mainly relying on basic energy attacks. However, it's worth noting that he can utilize these attacks while merged with something or someone. Jim is one of the weaker members of Team 10, and because of that, he serves primarily as a support for his allies. Jim's main fighting style revolves around flying at very high speeds, staying out of range of his enemies, and bombarding them with powerful attacks from a distance. Jim has 3 types of attacks. The first is the standard energy ki blasts, which he mainly uses from very long distances to snipe and destroy his enemy. The second type is wind attacks. Jim uses his wings to generate powerful gusts that slash the enemy. These attacks are naturally hard to see, making them very effective for catching enemies off guard. Although the range of these wind attacks is shorter than the ki blasts. Finally, Jim can shoot his feathers to precisely attack the target in their weak spots at shorter distances. Jim can either use a single feather or multiple feathers to attack. Overall, Jim's offensive score is 3, as it is clearly his specialty. When it comes to non-offensive techniques, Jim is obviously specialized in flying speed. With that I mean, his base power level is 53, but his flying speed alone is comparable to that of a much higher power level. Jim also has an incredible keen eyesight to attack his targets from a distance, and he frequently uses after images while flying to make it harder for the opponent to attack him. Additionally, Jim can quickly recover his energy when he is resting from flying. Overall, Jim's utility score is 1.5, Jim has an above-average scores in skill and intellect. However, his main weakness is that he significantly underperforms when forced to fight outside his usual style. This is mainly due to his inexperience and lack of skill in close combat. Jim can also transform into the fighter mode, which sacrifices his enhanced flying speed for a body more suited to close combat and a higher power level. Although he has not yet mastered this form, thus it has an optimization score of 1.5 and a power level of 60. Next is one of the strongest fighters of Team 10, Obni, who was really the only member of Universe 10 to have a proper fight in the anime. I'm going to honor that by making him a main fighter of the team. Obni is fairly smart, using tactics and strategy whenever necessary, with a score of 2 in intellect. Moreover, Obni is very skilled in combat, having plenty of experience and having a masterful ki control, which grants him a score of 3 in skill. Obni's fighting style is focused mostly on melee combat with reduced use of ranged energy attacks, which slightly lowers his offensive score. Besides that, Obni specializes in focusing his ki into his feet and legs, highly increasing his close combat power. Overall, Obni's offensive score is 2.5. Because of his excellent control over ki, Obni has many supportive techniques at his disposal. He can manipulate the flow of his internal ki to obscure his ki signature, making it difficult for opponents to read his energy and predict his movements. Additionally, he can quickly concentrate larger amounts of ki in specific parts of his body to enhance their defenses. However, this ability has the drawback of leaving other parts of his body more vulnerable to damage. Other techniques include reflecting energy attacks by striking them with his ki enhancing fists, hiding his ki to remain undetected by others, paralyzing the body of his enemy by striking them, and accelerating healing by focusing his ki on any wounds he might have on his body. However, the accelerated healing is a risky ability that should be used outside of battle. The most dangerous technique of Obni is his ability to disrupt the flow of energy in his opponents. He can do this at a slower rate with his psychic power without the need for physical contact, or the much faster rate, which is by striking them directly multiple times. This energy disruption makes it much more difficult for the opponents to properly use their techniques and can even neutralize special abilities. For example, if Obni is able to completely disrupt the ki of someone like Hit, then the latter won't be able to use his time skip abilities until he regains control. It is worth mentioning that this disruption works on both ki and magic users. The overall utility score of Obni is 2. Obni can use godly ki with a power level of 70, reaching up to 77 at full power, with an optimization score of 3. Additionally, Obni can store huge amounts of ki in his body thanks to his near-perfect energy control. He can use this stored energy to temporarily increase his power level past his usual limits. Naturally, after using the stored ki, Obni can't enter this state again until he has time to replenish the used energy. By using the stored ki, Obni's power level range from 80 to 84, with an optimization score of 2 and 1.5 respectively, due to the limitations of these power-ups. Next is Rubalt, a veteran soldier and one of the strongest members of Team 10, making him one of their main fighters. As an experienced and battle-hardened soldier who has participated in many wars, Rubalt has learned to fight tactically, granting him an intellect score of 2. Additionally, he has become incredibly skilled in combat and even when enraged, Rubalt's fighting skills remain as sharp as ever without being blinded by it. Offensively, Rubalt uses a variety of weapons which he can enhance with ki to increase their power. These weapons range from knives and brass knuckles to pistols, machine guns, and many others. Depending on the situation, Rubalt can switch between weapons instantly. And his most powerful weapon is a giant cannon that he can use to charge his ki and fire a precise and extremely powerful energy wave. Overall, Rubalt has an offensive score of 3. Besides the basic supportive techniques, Rubalt primarily relies on his ability to summon any desired weapon, granting him a score of 1 in utility. As a soldier, Rubalt has plenty of experience fighting alongside others and coordinating very well with his allies, which is enough to grant him a score of 3 in cooperation. Lastly, Rubalt's willpower is unbreakable. He never gives up in a fight and constantly trains in preparation for endless wars, granting him a score of 3 in motivation. Rubalt can enter in a berserk state, which increases his power and regeneration, also makes him immune to pain and resistant to other psychic abilities. In this state, his power level increases to 61. While using Godly Ki, his power level reaches 67 and at full power it increases to 77. When combined with his berserk state, his power further increases to 84. However, due to the difficulty of using this form optimally, his optimization score is 1.5. Next is Napapa, the master sumo fighter and one of the backup fighters of Universe 10. By just looking at his sumo skills, Napapa will easily have a score of 3. However, outside of sumo, Napapa lacks the same level of execution in areas such as energy attacks and other fighting styles. This limits a lot his adaptability, granting him a score of 2 in skill. As I mentioned before, Napapa doesn't use energy ki attacks, which is a very limiting factor. However, he compensates by being able to greatly enhance his body with ki, making him very dangerous in close combat. Napapa has the special technique of using ki to increase his body density, which perfectly complements his sumo fighting style, granting him an utility score of 1.5. Because of the nature of sumo, Napapa prefers one-on-one combat, giving him a cooperation score of 1.5. Napapa has a power level of 58 in his demigod ultimate state, and of 61 at full power. By using Godly Ki, Napapa has a power level of 65, although by the time of the Tournament of Power, he still hasn't mastered it completely. Napapa can boost his power by conjuring a large sumo ring composed of ki. Napapa power increases to 69 while fighting inside this ring, although due to its limitations, its optimization is of 2. Next is the oldest member of Team 10, Zircor. An enlightened yoga warrior, despite being past his prime, he still remains one of the strongest mortals from Universe 10, strong enough to be personally chosen by the God of Destruction, Rumshii, as one of the backup fighters for Team 10. Thanks to his mastery of yoga, Zircor has lived for thousands of years, acquiring plenty of knowledge and experience. This grants him both an intellect and a skill score of 3. Zircor can use a wide variety of standard energy ki attacks, and is also a master of ki attacks. Overall, his offensive score is 3. Zircor possesses incredibly keen senses and impressive body flexibility, allowing him to extend his arms for attacks. Additionally, he can use the ki clone technique and temporarily conjure extra arms to fight. He also has psychic abilities such as telepathy and telekinesis, the latter of which enables him to paralyze his opponents and use the environment against them. Overall, Zircor has an utility score of 2. After living for so long, Zircor has lost most of his motivation to train and fight strong opponents, granting him a score of 1.5. Despite this, he is still open to teaching and training others, which earns him a score of 3 in cooperation. By using Godly Key, Zircor have a power level of 63 with an optimization score of 3. And finally, Zircor is capable of entering a trance state of mind, which improves his control over Divine Key, increasing his power level to 67. However, this takes a toll on his old body, granting him an optimization score of 2. Next is the fighting champion Murisam, one of the secondary fighters of Universe 10. Although Murisam's intellect is average, he doesn't really need high intellect since his fighting style is straightforward but effective. An expert in a martial art akin to Muay Thai, Murisam is the champion of his homeworld, earning him a score of 3. Murisam has completely integrated the use of key energy attacks into his fighting style. He fires key blasts with every punch and kick he delivers, can even charge energy to unleash a single powerful blast at his opponent. What's more fearsome is that whenever Murisam lands a combo of attacks on his enemy, his offensive power temporarily increases. The longer the combo, the more destructive and deadly his attacks become, including his energy attacks. With that being said, Murisam's offensive score is 3. On the other hand, Murisam really lacks in the supportive techniques department, using only basic techniques such as key reading, which gives him an utility score of 1. Being a champion himself, Murisam has a very strong willpower when it comes to fighting, giving him a motivation score of 3. Murisam has the ability to temporarily increase his power during combat thanks to his fighting spirit. This power-up is gradual and works either by dealing damage or receiving it. With Semi-Divine Key, Murisam's fighting spirit increases his power level from around 56 to 62. The optimization score ranges from 2.5 to 2 due to the conditional nature of the power-up. In his godly ultimate state, Murisam has a power level of 66, and his fighting spirit can increase it from 70 up to 80. The optimization score of his divine fighting spirit ranges from 2 to 1 at worst, due to the gradual increase in power being slower and make it less reliable. The second to last member of Team 10 is the elegant Jyrasem, one of the secondary fighters of the team. Jyrasem's main ability is plant manipulation, allowing him not to only control but also create plant life forms using his own ki. In addition to using them offensively, he can use special plants to restrain the target and absorb their energy for himself. These unique plants can also even absorb Gen Ki energy from the environment. Jyrasem can also create flowers that generate pollen capable of putting others to sleep and paralyzing their entire bodies. Other abilities of Jyrasem include fast regeneration, healing others, telepathy, gain Ki energy absorption, and Ki clone. Overall, Jyrasem has an utility score of 3. Offensively, Jyrasem can overwhelm his enemies with swarms of plants that cut, crush, and absorb their energies upon contact. Besides that, he makes plenty of use of standard energy attacks, and even the plants themselves can fire energy waves. The most powerful energy attack of Jyrasem is focusing all the Genki energy absorbed and firing a powerful energy beam. With that being said, Jyrasem have an offensive score of 3. Although Jyrasem can be very strategic at fighting, his prideful attitude can work against him, which can make him act irrationally, granting him an intellect score of 2. Jyrasem is very skilled at both martial arts and using his ki techniques, granting him a skill score of 3. Because of the prideful attitude of Jyrasem, it makes it hard for others to fight alongside him, granting him a cooperation score of 1.5. By absorbing energy, Jyrasem can increase his power up to 64, and by the time of the Tournament of Power, Jyrasem can use Godly Ki, although still not at his fullest potential. Currently, he has a power level of 65 while using Godly Ki, and by absorbing energy have a power level of 72. By entering in a stasis state, Jyrasem absorbs a huge amount of Genki energy to evolve his body. In his super metamorphosis form, Jyrasem have a power level of 80 with an optimization score of 1.5 because at the moment it is very difficult for Jyrasem to reach this transformation. The next member of Team 10 and the last secondary fighter is the magical fairy Lylibeu. Without taking into consideration her magic prowess, Lylibeu has only an average skill in martial arts and combat with a score of 1.5. Similarly, without magic, Lylibeu has an offensive score of 1.5. Outside of magic, Lylibeu is capable of using basic supportive techniques, and she frequently uses her psychic abilities, including hypnosis, mind reading, enhanced empathy, telekinesis, and telepathic communication, getting her an utility score of 2. Lylibeu's real strength lies in her magical abilities, where she is very skilled with a score of 3. Additionally, her magical offensive capabilities are stronger than her key attacks. She has access not only to basic magical energy blasts, but also elemental attacks, giving her a lot of flexibility and granting her an offensive score of 2. With magic, Lylibeu can grant buffs to her allies, such as speed or strength boost, energy shield, and even healing. She can also conjure objects and transmute and seal objects and people. Her main magic ability is transforming her body into an astral form, which makes her intangible and invisible and allows her to teleport. While in her astral form, Lylibeu can use her psychic abilities to either help allies or attack enemies. Although Lylibeu is intangible in this state, she can still be affected by mental attacks. Overall, Lylibeu's magic grants her an utility score of 3. Lylibeu has an intellect score of 2 because of her being very absent-minded and also having a somewhat childish attitude, which can be detrimental at times. On the other hand, she always wants the best for her allies, which is reflected in her supportive abilities, granting her a score of 3 in cooperation. Lylibeu is not particularly interested in fighting, viewing it only as a means to an end to protect others, granting her a score of 1.5 in motivation. Lylibeu has a magic power level of 61, and while using Godly Key, her power level increases to 65. Her full magic power reaches up to 75 with an optimization score of 3. Now let's quickly explore the gods of Universe 10, starting with the Supreme Kai Gowasu. Due to being the oldest Kaioshin in all the universes, Gowasu has become the second weakest Supreme Kai, which explains why he was searching for the future successor Kaioshin of Universe 10. Because of his old age, Gowasu's stamina has also greatly decreased, granting him an optimization score of 1.5. Despite that, he has maintained his intellect and skill in using his Kai techniques with a score of 3 in both. Like most Kaioshin, Gowasu's offensive capabilities are only about average with a score of 1.5. Without magic, Gowasu has an utility score of 2, mostly due to his psychic abilities. Being so old, Gowasu has pretty much stopped training a long time ago, having a score of 1 in motivation. However, he still devoutly fulfills his role as a Supreme Kai with a cooperation score of 3. The magic power level of Gowasu is 70, and due to all the magical techniques, his utility score increases to 3 as well. In his creator form, Gowasu has a power level of 80 and an optimization score of 1, since he can't maintain it for long. Next is the god of destruction Rumshii. Although part of the lower tier of Hakaishin, Rumshii is still very capable and powerful in his own right, with a score of 3 in both skill and intellect. Like all Hakaishin, Rumshii has an offensive score of +3 due to his Hakai power. Additionally, Rumshii can also combine his powerful roars with Hakai energy, making them even more destructive. For non-offensive attacks, Rumshii can use his trunk to suck everything in its path, akin to a black hole. Everything absorbed remains trapped in a sealed space. If he chooses, Rumshii can either free whatever is sealed or destroy it with Hakai while they are trapped. Other abilities includes paralyzing and hypnotizing others with his voice and also telekinesis. Overall, Rumshii have an utility score of 2. Like all Hakaishin, Rumshii can gradually increase his power with Ultra Ego, and at full power, he reaches a level of 90 with an optimization score of 2 due to the time it takes to reach the peak power. Finally, while using the Destroyer form, Rumshii has a power level of 93 with an optimization score of 1.5 due to needing the Angel's permission to use it and also the difficulty in fully controlling the Destroyer form. Next is Kusu, the oldest sister of the Angels and one of the most powerful amongst her siblings. Like all Angels, Kusu has a score of +3 in most stats, except for cooperation and motivation where she scores only a 1. In her angelic form, Kusu has a power level of 99, with an optimization score of 2 as it can only be used with the Grand Priest permission. Alright guys, that should be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the content, and if you did, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. So next video should be about Universe 3, which is the robots team. Yeah, see you next time guys. Hopefully you're having a good day or night. I hope your life is good, and if not, I'm sure it will get better, so trust me, it will get better. So see ya guys, goodbye.